Hana listened as Vorn explained everything. He told her about his company, his wealth, and his original purpose for coming to Earth. He explained about the mugging, his lost memory, and his eventual decision to stay hidden. He told her about his test, his need to know if human kindness was real. When he finished, Hana was quiet for a long time. Her face showed many emotions: surprise, confusion, and something that looked like hurt. "So you were never really homeless," she said quietly. "You could have helped yourself at any time." "Yes," Vorn admitted. "There was no point in lying now. And you let Day work himself sick, giving you his food just to see if he would keep doing it?" Vorn faltered. Put that way, it sounded terrible. It was terrible. I did not realize how far he would go. I did not understand humans could be so selfless. In the rest of the galaxy, no one does something for nothing. Everyone has an angle, a reason, a price. We are not like that, Hana said. Her voice was not angry, just sad. At least Day is not like that. He really cared about you. I know, Vorn said. And I care about him too. That is why I saved him tonight. I could not let him die for my test. Hana looked at him for a long moment. I think you should tell him the truth when he wakes up. He deserves to know. He will hate me. Maybe, Hana said, but keeping it secret would be worse. Day always says that honesty is the foundation of respect. Before Vorn could respond, a nurse came to tell them that Day was waking up. They hurried to his room. Day lay in a comfortable bed, connected to various medical devices that monitored his health. His eyes opened slowly and he looked around in confusion. What happened? His voice was hoarse. You collapsed, Hana said, rushing to his side. She took his hand. You have been working too hard, you idiot. I am fine, Day said automatically. Then he noticed his surroundings. Wait, this is not a regular hospital. This is too nice. Too expensive. His eyes found Vorn standing near the door. How did I get here? I brought you here, Vorn said carefully. You needed help, but Day tried to sit up, but the medical devices beeped in protest. How can you afford this? I thought, there is something I need to tell you, Vorn began. But before he could continue, Day's face changed. Understanding dawned in his eyes, followed by something like fear. You are not homeless, are you? Day asked. You never were, Vorn shook his head. No. Day lay back on the bed and closed his eyes. I see. Please let me explain, Vorn said quickly. He told Day the same story he had told Hana. He tried to make the boy understand his reasons, his doubts, his eventual realization. He talked about how Day had changed his view of humanity. When Vorn finished, Day was silent. He did not look angry. He looked disappointed, which was somehow worse. I understand, Day finally said. You needed to know if humans were trustworthy. So you tested us, not us, Vorn corrected. I tested the galaxy's assumptions about humanity, and you proved them wrong. You showed me that humans are capable of true compassion. Congratulations, Day said flatly. Your experiment was successful. The bitterness in his voice made Vorn flinch. Day, please. It was not just an experiment. You became my friend. A real friend. The first I've had in decades, did I? Day asked. Or was I just a subject in your study? Vorn had no answer for that. In truth, he did not know anymore when the test had ended and real friendship had begun. Perhaps they had always been mixed together. I am sorry, Vorn said. It felt inadequate, but he did not know what else to say. I forgive you, Day said, but his voice was empty. Over the next few days, Vorn made arrangements. He paid Day's rent for the entire year. He paid Hana's school fees and bought her new clothes and books. He set up a bank account with enough money to keep them comfortable for years. He did all of this through anonymous channels, through lawyers and accountants who hid his identity. When Day found out, he was not grateful. He was uncomfortable. I did not help you for a reward, Day said when Vorn visited him at their apartment. He had been released from the medical facility with orders to rest for 2 weeks. I helped because it was right. Now I feel like it was not real. It was real, Vorn insisted. Your kindness was genuine. I know that. But your situation was fake, Day countered. You were never in danger. You never really needed my help. I gave you my food and my time and my energy, and you did not need any of it. You just wanted to see if I would do it. That is not entirely true, Vorn said. I did need your help. Just not in the way you thought. I was drowning in cynicism and loneliness. Your kindness saved me from that. Day wanted to stay angry, but he could not. He saw the genuine regret in Vorn's eyes. He heard the truth in his words. Slowly his anger faded into a tired acceptance. I do not want your money, Day said, but Hana needs her school fees paid. I will not let my pride hurt her, so I will accept that part, but nothing else. At least accept nothing else, Day repeated firmly. Vorn nodded. He understood. Day needed to earn his own way. It was a matter of dignity. Meanwhile, trouble arrived from an unexpected direction. A local gang had noticed Day's sudden financial stability. They came to the apartment building one evening, led by a tough-looking man named Quan. He had scars on his face and cold eyes. We hear you came into some money, Quan said, blocking Day's path in the hallway. 3 other gang members stood behind him. This building is in our territory. You need to pay protection fees. I do not have extra money, Day said. His heart was pounding, but he kept his voice steady. And I will not pay criminals. Quan grabbed Day's shirt. That is a mistake, kid. We will come back tomorrow. Have the money ready or things will get ugly. Day did not tell Vorn about this encounter. He did not want more help. He had already accepted too much. But Hana was worried, and she told Vorn when he came to visit the next day. Vorn's reaction was immediate and cold. The gentle alien who had sat in an alley accepting food was gone. In his place was the powerful corporate executive who had built an empire through will and intelligence. What is the name of this gang? Vorn asked. The Red Dragons, Hana said. They control several blocks around here. Vorn made a call. He spoke briefly in his own language, giving orders. When he finished, he looked at Hana. They will not bother you again. What did you do? Hana asked, her eyes wide. I made arrangements, Vorn said simply. That night, Galactic Police raided the Red Dragon's headquarters. They found evidence of illegal weapons trading, spice smuggling, and connections to interstellar criminal organizations. The entire gang was arrested. Quan and his lieutenants were sent to a prison colony on a distant moon. When Dai heard about it the next day, he immediately knew who was responsible. He confronted Vorn in the alley where they had first met. You did that, Day said. It was not a question. Yes, Vorn admitted. They threatened you and Hana. I could not allow that. I could have handled it myself, could you? Vorn asked gently. Day, there is a difference between independence and foolish pride. You helped me when I needed help. Let me help you when you need help. Is that not what friends do? Day opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. He thought about Vorn's words. He thought about how he had insisted on helping Vorn even when the alien refused. Was he being a hypocrite by refusing to accept help in return? I am not used to this, Day finally said. I have been taking care of myself and Hana for so long. Accepting help feels like failing. It is not failing, Vorn said. It is trusting. And trust must go both ways. Day looked at the alien who had become his friend despite lies and misunderstandings. He thought about everything they had been through together. Slowly he nodded. Okay, he said. We will try to be real friends. Both of us, no more tests, no more pride. Just honesty. Agreed, Vorn said. They shook hands, Day's single human hand gripped by one of Vorn's 4 alien ones. It was a strange sight, but it felt right. 2 beings from different worlds learning to trust each other despite their differences. But their struggles were not over yet. The truth about Vorn's identity was spreading, and consequences were coming. Vorn sat alone in the alley after Day and Hana left, wrestling with his conscience. The truth weighed heavily on him like a physical burden. He was not a homeless, helpless alien. He was Vorn Telshara, Chief Executive Officer of Telshara Galactic Industries. His company built the fastest ships in the galaxy. His technology powered half the communication networks in known space. His wealth was so vast that he could buy entire planets if he wished. He had come to Earth 3 months ago on a secret mission. His company wanted to expand into human space, but Vorn had heard troubling things about humanity. Some species said humans were too emotional, too unpredictable. Others said humans could not be trusted in business. Vorn had decided to see for himself, traveling in disguise to observe human behavior up close. But things had gone wrong. He had been mugged in the alien quarter by criminals who did not recognize him. They had stolen his identification and his communication devices. Worse, they had beaten him badly enough that he had suffered a concussion. For several days, he had wandered the streets in a daze, unable to remember who he was or how to contact his company. By the time his memory returned, weeks had passed. He found himself in that alley, weak and starving. He had decided to stay there to see what would happen. Would humans help him? Would they ignore him? Would they exploit him? Day after day, hundreds of humans had walked past. Not one had stopped. Not one had offered help. Vorn had felt his suspicions confirmed. Humans were just like every other species, selfish and uncaring. Then day had come. And everything Vorn thought he knew about humans had been turned upside down. Now Vorn faced an impossible choice. He could contact his company at any moment. Hidden in the lining of his torn clothes was a small emergency beacon that had survived the mugging. One press of a button and his people would come for him. They would bring medical care, clean clothes, and endless resources. He could help Day and Hana immediately, paying their rent and giving them a comfortable life. But if he revealed his identity now, would Day's kindness continue? Or would the boy feel betrayed, used, exploited? Worse, would Day's kindness turn out to be fake? Just an act that would disappear once the reward arrived? No. Vorn had watched Day closely for weeks now. The boy's kindness was real. It had to be. No one could fake that level of exhaustion, that depth of selfless giving. Day was literally working himself to death to help a stranger, refusing all offers of repayment. This was what Vorn had been searching for. This was the proof that human compassion was genuine, not a trick or a weakness. This was something precious, something unique in the galaxy, but watching Day suffer to prove this point felt increasingly cruel. Vorn's internal debate was interrupted by a sound. Someone was walking down the alley. It was late, well past midnight. Vorn looked up and saw Day stumbling toward him. The boy's eyes were half closed and he was weaving like a drunk person, though Vorn knew he did not drink alcohol. Day? Vorn called out in alarm. What are you doing here? You should be sleeping. Finished. Night shift, Day mumbled. His words were slurred with exhaustion. Wanted to check. On you. You need to go home, Vorn said, standing up. His weeks of receiving Day's food had given him back some strength. You need to rest. I am fine, Day said. He took another step forward and suddenly collapsed. Vorn caught him before he hit the ground. The boy's skin was burning with fever and his breathing was shallow. He had pushed himself too far. His body had simply given up. Day! Vorn shook him gently. Wake up. But Day did not wake. His eyes stayed closed and his body lay limp in Vorn's arms. For the first time in months, Vorn felt real fear. Not fear for himself, but fear for someone else. This boy, this selfless, stupid, wonderful boy might die because Vorn had been too proud and too curious to reveal the truth. No more games. No more tests. Vorn made his decision. He reached into the hidden pocket in his clothes and pulled out the emergency beacon. It was small, no bigger than a coin. But it contained technology that could send a signal across half the galaxy. Vorn pressed the activation button. Within seconds, he received a response. Within minutes, a private medical shuttle landed at the entrance to the alley. A team of doctors emerged, all of them Vorn's personal staff. They were shocked to see their employer in such a state, but they were trained professionals. They asked no questions and simply got to work. Help the boy first, Vorn commanded. He has severe exhaustion and fever. He needs immediate treatment. The doctors placed Day on a floating stretcher and carried him into the shuttle. Vorn followed, his heart pounding with worry. As the shuttle lifted into the air, Vorn contacted his chief of security. Find the boy's sister, he ordered. Her name is Hana. She lives in the apartment building at this address. Bring her to the medical facility, be gentle. Tell her that her brother is safe but needs treatment. Do not frighten her. Yes, sir, the security chief responded. Sir, if I may ask, where have you been? We have been searching for you for months. The board of directors is extremely worried. I will explain later, Vorn said. Right now, the boy is all that matters. The shuttle flew to a private medical facility on the outskirts of New Seoul. It was a secret installation that served the wealthiest individuals in this part of space. The building looked ordinary from the outside, but inside it contained the most advanced medical technology available anywhere. Doctors swarmed around Day, running scans and administering treatments. Vorn stood outside the treatment room, watching through a window. His four hands were clenched into fists. He had faced down hostile corporate takeovers and dangerous negotiations with criminal cartels, without feeling fear. But watching this fragile human boy lying unconscious on a medical bed filled him with terror. An hour later, Hana arrived. She was still in her sleeping clothes, her hair messy, her eyes wide with fear. When she saw Vorn standing in the hallway looking clean and well-dressed in borrowed clothes, her expression shifted from fear to confusion. Vorn, where is Day? They said he collapsed. What is this place? Day is being treated, Vorn said gently. He will be fine. The doctors are the best in the galaxy. But how did you? I do not understand. This place looks so expensive. And you? Hana stared at him. You look different. You are not sick anymore. I have not been entirely honest with you, Vorn admitted. But your brother's health is what matters now. Come, you can wait with me until he wakes up. They sat together in the waiting area. It was a comfortable room with soft chairs and warm lighting. Hana kept staring around in wonder, clearly overwhelmed. Vorn could see her mind working, trying to understand what was happening. Finally, a doctor emerged. She was a human woman with kind eyes and graying hair. The young man will be fine, she said. He was suffering from severe exhaustion, malnutrition, and stress. His body essentially shut down to force him to rest. We have given him fluids and nutrients, and we have treated the fever. He needs to sleep for several hours, but he will make a full recovery. Vorn felt relief wash over him like a wave. Thank you, doctor. However, the doctor continued, if he had continued like this for even a few more days, the damage could have been permanent. He was very close to complete system failure. Someone should tell him that working 4 jobs and barely eating is not sustainable. Hana's face crumpled and she began to cry. It is my fault. If I did not need school fees and food and clothes, he would not have to work so hard. No, Vorn said firmly. He knelt down so he was at eye level with the girl. It is not your fault. Your brother chose to care for you because he loves you. That is beautiful, not wrong. But, he hesitated, it is my fault that he pushed himself so far? What do you mean? Hana asked. Vorn took a deep breath. I need to tell you something. And I need you to understand that I never meant to hurt either of you. True to his word, Day returned to the alley the next evening. He brought a simple meal of rice and soup that he had made himself. It was not much, but it was warm and filling. Vorn was still there, sitting in the same spot against the wall. The rain had stopped, but the alien still looked cold and weak. You came back, Vorn said. His voice held wonder, as if Day had done something impossible. I said I would, Day replied. He sat down next to the alien and handed him the food. How do you feel today? Better, thanks to you. Vorn took the food with his long, thin fingers. Most beings would not have stopped yesterday. Fewer still would return. Day shrugged. My parents taught me that kindness costs nothing but means everything. Before they died, I mean. Vorn paused with the spoon halfway to his mouth. Your parents are dead? 2 years ago. Ship accident. Day spoke the words flatly without emotion. He had said them so many times that they no longer hurt as much. I take care of my little sister now. You are young to carry such weight, Vorn said quietly. I do what I must. Day smiled. Tell me about your travels. You said yesterday you have seen many worlds. As Vorn ate, he told stories. He spoke of planets with purple skies and oceans made of liquid crystal. He described cities that floated among the clouds and forests where the trees sang at night. He talked about different alien species and their strange customs. Day listened with wide eyes, imagining all these wonderful places he would never see. This became their routine. Every day after work, Day would stop by the alley with whatever food he could afford. Some days it was just bread and water. Other days, when Day picked up extra work, he brought better meals. They would sit together and talk. Vorn told his carefully edited stories, leaving out details about his wealth and power. Day talked about his dreams of getting Hana into a better school and maybe someday having enough money to not be so tired all the time. 3 weeks passed this way. Day grew thinner because he was giving away so much of his food, but he did not mind. Vorn seemed to be getting a little stronger, which made Day happy. Then one day Hana followed him. Day did not notice her at first. He was too focused on reaching the alley before the food got cold. But when he sat down next to Vorn and pulled out the container of noodles, he heard a small gasp behind him. He turned to see his sister standing at the entrance to the alley. Her eyes were wide with surprise. Hana, what are you doing here? I followed you, she said, walking closer. You have been coming home later and later, and you are getting so thin. I thought maybe you had a second girlfriend or something. She looked at Vorn with curiosity, not fear. But you have been feeding an alien? Day felt his face turn red. I can explain. You have been giving him our food? Hannah interrupted. She looked at the container in Vorn's hands. Then she looked at her brother's thin face. Then she smiled. That is exactly what Mom and Dad would have done. She sat down on Day's other side. Hello, I am Hannah. I am Day's sister. Vorn looked between the two siblings with an expression that Day could not quite read. I am Vorn. Your brother is very kind. Too kind sometimes, Hannah said. But that is okay. I think the world needs more people like him. She reached into her school bag and pulled out a piece of paper. I drew this in art class today. Would you like to have it? She handed the drawing to Vorn. It showed a simple picture of the earth with the sun shining above it. In her childish handwriting, she had written, Home is where the heart is. Vorn took the drawing with shaking hands. He stared at it for a long moment. When he looked up, his eyes seemed wet, though Day did not know if his species could cry. Thank you, Vorn whispered. I will treasure this. From that day on, Hannah joined Dee on his visits. She would chatter happily about her school day and show Vorn her homework. She treated the alien elder with the same warmth she had once shown their parents, with simple, pure affection that expected nothing in return. But life was getting harder. Their landlord, Mr. Yong, was a mean man who cared only about money. He lived on the first floor of their building and spent his days watching television and shouting at tenants. One evening he caught Day in the hallway. Your rent is late, Mr. Yong growled. He was a fat man with small, greedy eyes. You have 3 days to pay or you are out on the street. Please, Mr. Yong, Day said. I will have the money soon. I am just waiting for my paycheck from 3 days, Mr. Yong shouted. I do not care about your excuses. Pay or leave. That night Day could not sleep. He counted his credits over and over, but the number did not change. He was short. Even if he worked every possible hour, he would not have enough in 3 days. The next morning, Day went to the spaceport and begged for extra shifts. His supervisor, a tired woman named Mrs. Park, shook her head sadly. I would give you more work if I could, she said, but we have too many workers already. I'm sorry, Day. Desperate, Day found a 4th job cleaning the spaceport at night. The pay was bad and the work was hard, but it was something. He would work his morning office job, his afternoon cargo loading, his evening restaurant washing, and now his night spaceport cleaning. He would sleep for 3 hours, then start again. Hannah noticed immediately. You look terrible, she said when she saw him the next evening. When did you last sleep? I am fine, Day lied. His eyes felt like they were full of sand and his body ached everywhere. Just tired from work. When they visited Vorn that night, the alien noticed too. You are unwell, Vorn said sharply. You should rest. I cannot rest, Day said. If I rest, we lose our home. He explained about the rent and Mr. Yong and his 4 jobs. As he talked, Vorn's expression grew more and more troubled. When Day finished, the alien was quiet for a long time. Let me help you, Vorn finally said. No, Day said firmly. You need help more than I do. You are homeless and sick. I will figure this out. But no, Day repeated. I help you because you need help, not because I want something back. If I took your money, it would make everything feel wrong. Do you understand? Vorn stared at him. In all his long life, across all the planets he had visited and all the species he had met, he had never encountered anyone like this human boy, someone who would suffer rather than accept help, because accepting help would somehow taint the purity of his own kindness. I understand, Vorn said quietly, but inside he felt his guilt growing heavier. He watched Day's exhausted face and Hannah's worried eyes, and he knew he was being selfish. He had the power to help them with a single call, but he held back because he wanted to see how far this human compassion would go. Was he testing them or was he testing himself? As Day and Hannah left that night, Vorn sat in the alley holding Hannah's drawing. He looked at the simple picture of Earth and the words, home is where the heart is. These 2 human children had given him more than food. They had given him hope. They had shown him that somewhere in this vast, cold galaxy, genuine kindness still existed. But how much longer could he watch them suffer when he had the power to end it? The rain fell hard on the streets of New Seoul's spaceport district. Day pulled his thin jacket tighter around his body as he walked home. Water dripped from his black hair into his eyes, but he did not wipe it away. His hands held something more important, a warm container of noodles from the street vendor near his workplace. At 17 years old, Day worked 3 different jobs. In the morning, He cleaned offices in the tall buildings downtown. In the afternoon, he helped load cargo at the spaceport. At night, he washed dishes at a small restaurant. Every credit he earned went toward two things: the tiny apartment he shared with his younger sister, and food for both of them. Today had been a good day. Dave found an extra shift at the spaceport, which meant extra credits. He used that money to buy real noodles with vegetables and even a small piece of meat. His sister Hannah would be so happy. She had not complained, but Day knew she was tired of eating only rice and dried seaweed. As Day walked through the alien quarter, he tried to move quickly. This area was not dangerous, but it was not comfortable either. Aliens of all shapes and sizes filled the streets. Some had too many eyes, others had no eyes at all. Some walked on two legs like humans. Others floated or crawled or moved in ways that made Day's stomach feel strange. Most humans avoided this area. They said aliens were dirty or dangerous or just too different. Day did not care about such things. He just wanted to get home to Hannah. Then he saw the old alien in the alley. The creature sat against a wet wall, its body thin and weak. Its skin was a pale blue color, and it had 4 arms that hung limply at its sides. 2 large eyes, clouded with age, looked up at Day as he passed. The alien wore torn clothes that were too thin for the rain. No one else on the street looked at the creature. They walked past as if it did not exist. Day stopped walking. He looked at the warm container in his hands. Then he looked at the alien. Then back at the noodles. His stomach made a hungry sound. He had not eaten since breakfast, which had been only a small rice ball. Hannah had eaten breakfast too, but her portion had been bigger than his. She was growing and she needed the food more than he did. But the alien looked so thin, so weak, so cold in the rain. Day made his decision. He walked into the alley and knelt down in the dirty water next to the alien. Up close, he could see the creature shaking from the cold. Its breathing was shallow and difficult. "Hello," Day said in the common galactic language that all aliens and humans learned. His accent was bad, but he could make himself understood. "Are you hungry?" The alien's eyes widened. It stared at Day as if he were speaking an unknown language. Perhaps no one had spoken to this creature in a long time. "I have food," Day continued. He held out the container of noodles. "Please take it. You need it more than I do." The alien did not move. Its voice came out rough and weak. "Why?" "Because you are hungry," Day said simply. He opened the container and showed the alien the warm noodles inside. Steam rose from them, carrying the smell of spices and vegetables. "Everyone deserves to eat." The alien reached out with one shaking hand and took the container. Its fingers were long and thin with too many joints. It looked at the food, then at Day, then back at the food. Slowly it began to eat. Day smiled and stood up. His stomach was still hungry, but his heart felt warm. He had done the right thing. "Wait," the alien said between bites. "What is your name?" "Day. I am Vorn," the alien said. "Why did you help me, Day?" "What do you want in return?" "Nothing," Day said. "I just hope you feel better." He turned to leave. "Will you come back?" Vorn asked. His voice sounded surprised, almost hopeful. Day paused. He thought about his 3 jobs and his small apartment and his sister waiting at home. He thought about how little money he had and how much everything cost. Then he thought about how the alien had asked if he wanted something in return, as if kindness always came with a price. "Yes," Day said. "I will bring food tomorrow, too." Vorn stared at him with those large, clouded eyes. The alien said nothing, but something in his expression changed. It was as if he had seen something he did not believe could exist. Day walked home through the rain. His stomach was very hungry now, and he knew Hannah would ask where the noodles were. He would tell her he had already eaten them, which was a small lie. But it was better than telling her he had given their special dinner to a stranger. She would only worry and insist they could not afford such kindness. When Dai reached their tiny apartment on the 5th floor of an old building, Hannah was waiting by the door. She was 13 years old with long black hair and bright eyes that looked too smart for her age. She wore her school uniform, which was getting too small. He would need to buy her a new one soon, but he did not know where he would find the money. "You're late," Hannah said. "I was worried." "Sorry. The buses were slow because of the rain." Another small lie. "Did you bring dinner?" Hannah asked. Her eyes looked hopefully at his empty hands. "I ate already," Day said, "but I have rice cooking for you. And there is some kimchi left from last week." Hannah's face fell a little, but she nodded. She never complained. She knew how hard Day worked. Their parents had died 2 years ago when their cargo ship exploded during a routine flight. Since then, Day had become both brother and parent to Hana. He had quit school to work. He had given up his dreams. But he had kept Hana safe and fed and in school. That night, Day lay on his thin mattress in their small apartment and thought about the alien in the alley. He thought about how shocked Vorn had looked when offered food. He thought about the question, what do you want in return? Did other people really only help when they wanted something back? The idea made Day sad. He fell asleep, still thinking about those clouded alien eyes and the way they had looked at him with such disbelief. Tomorrow, he would visit again. He had promised, and Day always kept his promises. The morning of the vote, Ji-hoon woke up with a heavy feeling in his chest. He made breakfast for Hana, got her ready for school, and tried to act normal. But they both knew today was different. Today would decide Yena's fate. The station council meeting was scheduled for 2 p.m. All residents were invited to attend. The vote would be simple. Yes, to allow Yena and her larvae to stay. No, to deport them to the refugee center. Ji-hoon dropped Hana at school and went to work. But he could not focus. His hands shook as he tried to repair equipment. His supervisor finally sent him home early. Go be with your alien friends, the man said, not unkindly. Whatever happens today, they will need you. Ji-hoon went to Yena's unit. She was packing. Her 4 hands moved efficiently, placing her few belongings into containers. The larvae watched, confused and scared. They could sense their mother's distress. You think the vote will fail, Ji-hoon said. It was not a question. I have seen the numbers, Yena replied. Most station residents have signed the petition. They will vote to remove us. I am sorry. I tried. You did more than try. You sacrificed everything for us. No one in the hive has ever done such a thing for another species. Her wings trembled. I will never forget your kindness, Ji-hoon Park. They sat in silence for a while. Then Yena said, The Velik High Command contacted me this morning. About your journal? Yes, it has caused much discussion in the hive. Some want to ignore it. Others want to learn more. She paused. They have offered me a position as an ambassador, to study human culture and report back to the High Command. That is wonderful, Ji-hoon said, though his heart sank. You will have status again, resources, your larvae will be safe. Yes, but the position is on the Velik homeworld. I would have to leave here. Leave you. Before Ji-hoon could respond, there was a knock on the door. It was Officer Kim from Immigration. The council meeting is about to start, she said. Yena, you have been requested to speak before the vote. They walked to the council chamber together. The large room was packed with station residents. Ji-hoon saw familiar faces everywhere. Some looked sympathetic. Others looked angry or scared. He saw the parents of Hana's classmates, the ones whose children had bullied her. Yena stood before the council, massive and alien, her shell reflecting the lights. The translator robot floated next to her. The council chairman, a stern woman named Administrator Lee, called the meeting to order. We are here to vote on the continued residence of the Velik refugee Yena and her offspring, she said formally. Before we vote, Yena has requested to speak. You have 5 minutes. Yena stood silent for a moment. Then she began. I came to this station dying, her translated voice said. My ship was broken. My children were dying. I had lost everything in the war. My mate, my home, my purpose. The room was completely quiet. Then a human came. Ji-hoon Park. He could have waited for help. He could have followed protocol. Instead, he chose to save us. He risked his life for strangers, for aliens, for beings that looked nothing like him. Yena's wings fluttered. I did not understand this. In the Velik hive, we help our own. The collective is everything. But Ji-hoon helped us not because we were part of his hive. He helped because we needed help. This was illogical to me. She gestured to the crowd. So I watched. I documented. I tried to understand humans, and what I saw amazed me. The screen behind her lit up. Images began to appear. Ji-hoon fixing Mrs. Kang's door. Children sharing lunch. Strangers helping someone who had fallen. Small moments of kindness that Yena had captured. Humans help each other constantly, Yena continued. Small acts, large acts. Acts that cost nothing and acts that cost everything. You have no hive mind to command you. No central authority forcing kindness. Yet you choose it anyway. Each of you, individually, making the choice to help. More images appeared. Ji-hoon in the chemistry lab. working through the night to save Sunny. His exhausted face, his burned hands. This human sold his dead mate's jewelry to buy medicine for my child, Yenna said. A child that was not his species, not his family, not his responsibility. He did it because a child was dying, and that was enough reason. The room stirred. People looked at Ji-hoon with surprise. They had not known about the jewelry. I sent my observations to the Valak Hive network, Yenna said. I wanted my people to see what I had seen, to understand that there are other ways to exist besides constant warfare and competition. She paused. This morning the Valak High Command contacted me. They want to study your species. They want to learn how you maintain cooperation without a hive mind. They believe humans might hold answers to ending our civil war. Administrator Lee leaned forward. What are you saying? I am saying that the Valak High Command wants to establish formal diplomatic relations with humanity. They want to start a cultural exchange program. They want to learn from you. Yenna's voice grew stronger. And they want to start here. On New Sol Station. Because this is where they first learned what humanity truly means. The chamber erupted in noise. People talking, arguing, questioning. Administrator Lee called for order. Are you telling us that if we allow you to stay, the Valak will offer us a diplomatic treaty? Not just a diplomatic treaty, Yenna said. Technology sharing, resource agreements, cultural exchange. The Valak High Command sees great value in learning from humanity. But only if you show them that Ji-hoon's kindness is not unique, that it represents something true about your species. She looked around the room. If you vote to remove me and my children, you tell the Valak that one human's kindness was an exception. That fear and mistrust are your true nature. But if you vote to let us stay, you tell them that Ji-hoon represents something real, something worth learning from. The silence that followed was heavy. Then someone stood up. It was Mr. Han from administration, the one who had been most vocal about removing Yenna. Everyone turned to look at him. I signed the petition, he said. I was afraid. The Valak looked frightening, different. I thought keeping them here was dangerous. He paused. But I was wrong. Park is right. We judge by actions, not appearance, and Yenna's actions have shown only peace. Another person stood, then another. One by one, people began to speak. My daughter plays with the larvae, one mother said. She has never been happier. Park fixed my water recycler last week and would not take payment, said another resident. He said he was just helping a neighbor. Mrs. Kang stood, her old voice shaking but strong. I have lived on this station for 30 years. I have seen people come and go, but I have never seen anyone with a heart as big as Ji-hoon Park's. If we vote to remove Yenna, we tell the universe that we value fear over kindness. I will not be part of that. Administrator Lee raised her hand for silence. Very well. We will proceed to the vote. All in favor of allowing Yenna and her larvae to remain on New Sol Station. Please indicate now. Hands went up across the chamber, slowly at first, then faster. Ji-hoon watched, barely breathing. More hands, more and more. All opposed? A few hands went up. But only a few. Administrator Lee looked at the count. Then she smiled. The motion passes. Yenna and her offspring may remain on New Sol Station. The chamber erupted in applause. Ji-hoon felt tears on his face. Next to him, Yenna's wings were vibrating so fast they hummed. But then Administrator Lee held up her hand again. However, there is a complication. The Valak High Command has offered Yenna a position as ambassador on their homeworld. Yenna, what is your decision? Everyone looked at Yenna. She stood silent, her multiple eyes reflecting the lights. I am honored by the High Command's offer, she said slowly. But I must consider what is best for my children. They have found safety here, friendship here, and I have learned so much. She turned to look at Ji-hoon. The position on the homeworld would give me status and resources, but it would mean leaving the place where I learned what kindness truly means. There might be another option, Ji-hoon said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at him. What if the cultural exchange worked both ways? What if human families could live among the Valak, and Valak families could live among humans? Administrator Lee raised an eyebrow. Are you suggesting what I think you are suggesting? Hana and I could go with Yenna, Ji-hoon said. I am a maintenance engineer. I can work anywhere. And Hana, she already speaks some Valak. She could attend the first human Valak integrated school. That is crazy, someone in the crowd said. Living among aliens? Is it any crazier than aliens living among us? Ji-hoon replied. Yenna took a chance on humanity. Maybe it is time for humans to take a chance on the Velik. Administrator Lee looked at him for a long moment. Then she activated her communication device. I am contacting the Velik High Command now to discuss this proposal. The wait was agonizing. 10 minutes, 20. Finally, Administrator Lee's device chimed. The Velik High Command has agreed, she said, looking surprised. They say if a human father is brave enough to bring his child to live among them, it proves that Yenna's observations about human courage are accurate. They will provide housing, education, and full diplomatic protection. She looked at Ji-hoon. Are you certain about this, Mr. Park? You would be leaving everything you know. Your job, your home, your friends. You would be the first human to live in Velik space. Ji-hoon looked at Hana, who had slipped into the chamber during the meeting.